Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. Welcome back and welcome to the Coach's Cafe. If you are new to me, thank you for pulling up for Figured Out Fridays, where I pull up every Friday, 6 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time, as your integrative health prevention specialist. What does that really mean? We want to integrate all elements of our health into our lifestyle. And so as a LCSW, let me give you the disclaimer. I don't practice therapy. I practice prevention of chronic lifestyle diseases, i.e. type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and if you're carrying that excess weight that's impacting your health. That's how I pull up in this space and support you. Today, I am so honored, so excited to have in the studio with me live one of my mentors. Oh my goodness, one of my mentors, as well as one of my dearest friends in life. Somebody that you can say yes, and he's right there for you. Very talented fella. So I'm very excited to have Anthony in the studio. I'm going to read his bio, but thank y'all for pulling up this morning. It's very special to me because we're talking men's mental health. That is, June is Men's Health Month, as well as Men's Mental Health Month. So I've been dropping content all month long in regards to isolation, depression, cardiovascular disease, and the impact things, how they impact men. But I want you to know that there's a deeper level when we're talking about men and men's mental health. And I brought in the big guns. I brought in the heavy hitter of Davis, one of the heavy hitters of Davis Therapeutics. So let me get my introduction going, and we are going to get into this conversation. Again, thank y'all for pulling up in the Coach's Cafe on this Figured Out Friday, where you no longer have to figure it out alone. You have the coach here, your plant-based boss. Boss is BAWSE. My invitation to you to become a well soul every day. Let's get into this introduction with Anthony T. Davis, LPC. And let me tell y'all what those initials stands for, because people are like, what are you talking about? Licensed professional counselor, and he's able to supervise those under that umbrella. United States Army veteran, mental health professional with over 30 years. I know he don't look like it, but over 30 years of experience serving families and communities. And Anthony has worked across the community and mental health, healthcare, including foster care. I know y'all need some help. Vocational rehabilitation, private practice settings. And here's what I want you all to know about Anthony. He holds multiple credentials, particularly in trauma. There's a lot of people who are experiencing traumatic experiences that are impacting their health. And I want you to know that help is available to you. Within that, he also holds certifications in integrated mental health, youth mental health. And for those of you all need some help to quit smoking, also holds a certification in tobacco cessation. A lot of y'all are going to want to hear this part. A graduate of the I love Jackson State University. And Anthony is just simply passionate about helping people to heal, to grow, and to thrive. His philosophy is simple. Love yourself enough to give yourself the opportunity to succeed. Welcome to the studio, Anthony Davis. I said a lot, but in a nutshell, just tell the people who you are. Thank y'all for pulling up LinkedIn. If you're catching a replay, YouTube, doing like well, thank you. If you are on Facebook, the live interview is on LinkedIn as well as on YouTube. Hello, Anthony.
Good morning, girl. How you doing this morning?
Look, I am doing well. I just want to say thank you for all that you do to provide service to our communities. And so thank you for taking this invitation on an early Friday morning. I'm so happy to have you in the studio.
It's a pleasure being here. Thank you for the gracious invitation and introduction, at least as well. To as far as who am I? I'm a little country boy out of Natchez, Mississippi, that just loves people and wants to see the best out of people, and that's mentally, emotionally, physically, and most definitely, more important than anything else, spiritually.
Mm-hmm. hmm Yeah, we got a full conversation, so we're really just gonna get into it. I'm just this is an area that is not my expertise, so I can
Hmm.
talk about a lot of things, and I wanted to make sure I brought someone in, one that I trust, and two that is very relevant in this space. And so I couldn't have thought of anyone better. Um, let's get into it. So, Anthony, I was talking to a guy the other day
Hmm.
who had a major life thing happen. And I'm just, setting the stage. Had a major life thing happen and looked around, and no men were there to support him in
Mm.
his ecosystem. Like, he had no men there to really support him in his ecosystem. And so I want to start the conversation with this question.
Okay.
As a counselor, veteran, husband, father, man who has spent decades helping others to heal, what do you believe is the biggest misconception that men have been taught about mental health?
Very good question. Um, let's kind of go back some
Okay.
years. Okay.
Okay.
I know me growing up in that town of Natchez, Mississippi. And it's just this, I think it's the stigma period associated with the African American community. We've always been taught, at least I've always been taught, that whatever goes on in this house stays in this house.
Mm-hmm.
And that when we look at that, okay, I can understand certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but let's look at things from an internal standpoint. If I'm never allowed the opportunity to really open up and express what it is that I'm really feeling, and especially in this gentleman's situation where he has no outlet,
Right.
the question comes about is that where do I turn?
Mm-hmm.
Most times, if I'm not allowed the opportunity to express, talk, or get this stuff out of me, if it don't come out verbally, it's gonna come out physically. And I think because we don't have that outlet, or particularly this gentleman does not have that outlet, there is a bit of confusion. Uh, Definitely, the emotional distress level is very, very prevalent in everything. But he sets himself up for a situation to where his actions will probably end up displaying parts of him that's actually not him, and it's primarily because he does not have an out.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've been conditioned to not talk about our emotions and everything, we suppress these things. Well, I hate to use old verbiage, but it's like that old conversation or the old statement. If you take a Coke can and you shake it up, as soon as you pop the top on it,
Mm-hmm.
it goes over everything. And that innately what is going to end up happening with this gentleman. Now, going back to the fact that he doesn't have an out or whatever, or based upon how we were actually raised and everything, primarily because our parents didn't know any better.
Mm-hmm.
Mental health treatment was never really kind of pushed back in.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm don't look it, but I'm 52. Just turned 52 this past week. I'm feeling good about that. Uh,
Hey, 50.
but mental health treatment was never really pushed back during those days. I mean, if you displayed behavior problems, the first thing people just say, "Oh, he's just bad kid."
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing, and nobody really kind of took the time out to really investigate or dig into or even spend quality time and to find out exactly what's kind of going on. Don't want to jump ahead of myself, whatever, but one of the key things that happens most with me and older men that are having difficulty with seeking or getting mental health treatment is because of trauma that they've actually experienced in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And for most men, we don't want to go back down that road and revisit that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It was the
Mm-hmm.
past. It was
Mm-hmm.
over with. The negative side of it is that we don't come to the realization of how that stuff actually impacts our now.
Mm-hmm.
And because we don't talk about those things, these quote unquote old habits, old behaviors, or that's just how he is
Right.
is the thing that actually exists in everything.
Right, right. Thank you. So we really have to not just look at the right now. How were we reared and how were we raised is a big
That part.
factor into where we are right now and how
Hmm.
we're responding to life situations.
Because I use myself for example again. You know, I grew up in a two family household, mom and
Mhm,
dad there and everything.
mhm,
My father was present within the household, but emotionally disconnected his own way. And I
okay.
never felt that I could be open and honest with my father about what exactly was I was feeling.
Mhm,
Why? Fear. Didn't want to be seen as weak. You know, and back then, especially, I don't know anybody else, but lit natchez or whatever, you had to have some thick skin to deal with some things back there. You know, I grew up during a time where, you know, racism, you know, is prevalent now, but I mean, they were pretty, was still wide open with it back then and everything, you know?
yes.
And so you because of fear and you didn't want to didn't want to appear as that quote unquote weakest link and everything, you kept your mouth quiet. You just
Mhm,
dealt with things or whatever like that. And for me, that snowballed out of control for me was my sophomore year in Jackson State when I lost my maternal grandmother.
mhm,
When I lost her, it was like everything that I dealt with from the past, Regina, came back and just hit me all at one time. And I had to actually get therapy. I ended up getting therapy from actually my professors at Jackson State. They took both two of them took me on as clients. Didn't have to, but
yeah,
they saw how what I was dealing with really impacted my grades. And they knew that that was not me as a student and everything. So they took the time to invest in me. Whereas my father, my uncles, and any other male figures that was in in my family, because of fear,
mhm,
I didn't feel comfortable with talking with them and everything.
mhm. Establishing that trust and
Exactly.
creating the conditions. And so that's something that we don't always think about when you see, you know, our awesome men holding things up. We just want them to keep holding things up. But
Exactly.
if we don't create the conditions for trust, nurturing, support, seen, heard, and valued in a space outside of providing and
Exactly.
protecting,
Exactly.
then that could definitely be. Thank you so much for sharing that. Why do you believe so many men suffer in silence when support is actually available? I know you just shared about from a rearing standpoint, but
Hmm.
what if, you know, at this point they have some kind of knowledge about, you know what, there, because there's more conversations now about mental health than in the past. You
Yeah.
know, is more acceptable because you have a lot of, you know, celebrities, and it just has become a normalized conversation to a degree. To a
Yeah.
degree, let me caveat that. But why do you believe so many men continue to suffer in silence when support is available?
One thing that I've run into, one thing I've seen in the clinic, I think it's the issue of ego.
Mhm,
You know, we have this persona about ourselves, especially those that are married, have kids, and things like that. We
mhm,
never want to appear as if we're weak or as if we're not in control of situations and things of that nature. Um, my daughter, I can remember her even making a statement to me once before. She said, "Dad, I think I can always come to you because you always got an answer. You know, you
mhm,
always can talk." And I'm like, "Baby, that ain't always got the answers. You just, you know, you just happen to have some stuff going on that I have a little experience and knowledge about, and I can give you some insight and understanding about it.
mhm,
But you know, the resolution kind of comes from you because you have to make that choice and decision. You have to literally pull the trigger on whatever you got going on and everything. But I think the ego, the image, how we're portrayed, how we're seen, I think that's another big issue. And I can say that based on my personal experience of dealing with clients in the clinic and everything. You know,
mhm,
I've seen an increase in the number of male clients that I have seen as compared to past.
mhm,
From an age perspective, I think I'm seeing more 20 to about the 26, 27-year-old range, even more, and even more so kind of skipping over the 30s, kind of getting into the 40s and the 50s and everything. I've got more gentlemen coming in. So like you said earlier, you know, previously, is more acceptable now
mhm,
from a male perspective as far as getting treatment and everything. But we as men have to first be able to acknowledge the fact that we need some assistance,
mhm,
accept the fact that we don't control all our situations and issues and everything, have a level of appreciation, and that sounds a little crazy, but have a level of appreciation for even the negative things that go on in our lives because those are our opportunities to learn. And then we have to be able to learn to adapt to
mhm,
those new situations that we're dealing with and everything. And I think if we can learn, if men, not just men, but anybody can learn to implement the what I call the 4 A's: acknowledge, accept, appreciate, and adapt,
okay.
then we'll be able to get to that next level of real understanding of why we feel the way we feel, but also how to respond and how to get resolution to the things that we got going on.
Now, give me that again. You said the four A's because
Yeah.
my folks be note takers over here and they be reposting. So, what are the four A's of Anthony? What were those four A's
All
again?
right. The four A's: acknowledge, accept, appreciate, and
Uh-huh.
adapt.
And I dab. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. So, when we're thinking about the masculinity, the strength, how has society confused strength with emotional suppression?
Hmm, that's a very good question. Say that one more time.
How has society confused the strength with emotional suppression?
Hmm. Emotion suppression is basically, I mean, kind of substantially suppressing your emotions.
Uh-huh.
But it, to me, I think one caveat of that emotion suppressing your emotion is the component of denial.
Uh-huh.
And I go back to the four A's of the lack of accepting what it is that you actually have going on in your life. Well, acknowledging it first and then accepting it. The masculinity aspect of it, I think it has been diluted. And this is a personal disclaimer based upon my own personal feelings and everything.
Okay.
I think that we have taken the sting out of what it actually takes to be to quote unquote real man. The masculinity level or has always been kind of portrayed as suck it up, deal with it, tolerate it, is what it is, you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
But the reality of it is that in order to be able to effectively do that, you have to embrace the emotional aspects of it as well too,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
because you don't understand and know the issues that I've actually dealt with and gone through to actually help develop me as the person I am today. That makes me this stern and makes me this hard. But the underlying aspect of it is that I really don't want to be that hard.
Uh-huh.
I want to be able to embrace the I'll say the emotional aspects of it, the more tender sides of
Uh-huh.
life and everything. I want to be able to be more transparent and not viewed as weak and so forth and so forth. So I think that society has diluted what real masculinity kind of looks like.
Uh-huh.
We've taken it and put it over here on this shelf and saying that this is what it is or whatever like that, and saying that this is a bad thing and you should be more like this. No, all that is a part of his masculinity because his masculinity is his identity.
Yeah. You said that well. So let me just now expand that thought right there. So, what does healthy masculinity look like for those who have grown up, suck it up, real men don't cry? I don't know where they get that from.
I know, right?
But so what does healthy masculinity look like so that as men are really getting in touch with their humanity, which is okay, they understand that it's okay and there's nothing wrong with me if I cry, if I display my emotions. And I'm not just talking about what's perceived to be its manly emotions, the anger,
Uh,
just all of this. I'm talking about what does healthy masculinity look like?
if there's one word that I would use to explain healthy masculinity, it would be transparency.
Okay.
And I say that because if I'm transparent with you, then I've taken fear and I've moved it to the side.
Okay.
I'm not afraid of what you're gonna think about what I say or what you think about me because I really
Mm-hmm.
don't care or whatever like that. It
Mm-hmm.
has this my degree in transparency of being able to be open and honest about what I'm doing, how I'm feeling, and why I feel I'm feeling that and everything. To me, opens up the door to a true level of masculinity. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, it takes a very strong man, a very bold man, to even openly talk about what he actually has going on. I think that's one thing that people don't understand based upon a person's history, based upon their background, how they grew up, the things that they've had to endure and go through, it takes a lot. I can tell you, I really can't tell you how many men I've had in the clinic to where because I'm open and you know how I am and
Oh
everything.
yeah.
Dialogue that I consider myself a real therapist. I can get
Yes.
clinical with you. We can kind of keep
Yes.
put it over
Yes.
here and let's
Yes.
really have a real conversation and everything. And because I'm able to have those real hard conversations and everything, I've had, a lot of gentlemen saying, "Hey, man, look, this is the first time in a long time I feel like
Mhm,
I've been able to just talk to anybody,"
mhm,
and they just open up. I mean, they literally just pour it out. Gentlemen, men started crying the whole 9 yards. I
mhm,
provided an environment that's conducive to them finding their happiness and everything because it's non judgmental.
mhm.
And so, if for me, transparency equals to masculinity because
Yeah.
I'm man enough to tell you what's going on with me, and I'm not afraid of what the outcome actually, what it is, and what people think either.
That's good. That's good, Anthony, because you just gave men permission to be transparent. And if they don't have the ecosystem, and all the ecosystem is are people that you roll with, your homies, your peeps, your crew, your
Exactly.
tribe. If you don't have an ecosystem where you can be transparent without judgment, then you may need a support outside of that. Now, I don't know if Davis Therapeutics taking on new clients. However,
We are.
Anthony is, and we'll talk about that later as we close out. But this is a good place to for a commercial, and that is Davis Therapeutics, located in Flowood, Mississippi. If you are challenged in your health, men and women and children, I think it's to the age of starting at the age of 10.
Hmm.
Davis Therapeutics in Flowood, Mississippi, and they provide telehealth services. So if you're
Yes,
not in
we
the
do.
Jackson or the surrounding areas, you do not have to struggle in your mental health alone, men nor women. So I want to say that because you said a key thing around that transparency. And if people don't have, and if the conditions have not been set up where
Hmm.
my brother know that he is safe in that space, there are other implications. So I just wanted to make sure I come back around and just acknowledge that transparency. If you don't have that transparency in your space at all, you still don't have to suffer in silence. There is help available to you and available for you. Let me ask you this, Ant, because you've been practicing a long time. You see, you've seen the gamut. Young
Hmm.
fellas, you just talked about an increase in which I'm happy to hear that our young men are accepting that, you know what, I need somebody outside of my mom and my dad or what have you, or my friend circle. You
Yeah.
talked about starting to see an increase in 20 something year olds, which is a beautiful thing. If you can share with us, what emotions are you seeing that men most struggle with, and why do you believe that is? What emotion do men most struggle with to express, rather?
Um, what I've seen thus far, if I had to kind of narrow it down,
Mhm.
work life stresses are like the most dominant thing that we have in the clinic. But I think
Yeah.
that's kind of broad and across the board because that's the children, that's the females, as well as the adults and everything
Mhm.
like that. But for me personally, I've seen an influx in depression,
Mhm.
and that depression is actually rooted in anger.
Mhm.
I see a lot more gentlemen come in dealing with agitation, irritability, frustration, things of that nature. Now we'll probably classify that up under work life stressors and everything, because definitely that's obvious. But once you start digging and getting to the root of the issues and situations and everything, it's all rooted in the depression and everything, and it
Mhm.
goes back to uh, history, trauma, not being able to talk about situations in the past, um, unforgiveness. That's the big part right there.
That's a big
That,
one.
that is the one that I've seen that lays a foundation for the depression. It is
Okay.
because you've got so much unforgiveness in your heart and everything, your heart has hardened. But here's the difficult part about it. You know your heart is hardened,
Mhm.
but you refuse to get out of it.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
you refuse to get out of it, you don't have an out. That's the thing that's signifying your depression and everything.
So now I can't just walk off that one.
I, I took it kind of fast with
Unforgiveness.
that one, but that's
Yeah,
what I.
no, yeah. We can't glaze over
Yeah,
unforgiveness.
it's
If
it,
you're on Facebook and you want to see Anthony and hear the interview, head over to YouTube Doing Life Well with Regina or LinkedIn Regina Lackey. But you just talked about unforgiveness.
yeah.
can you lean in a little
Yeah,
more
let me
with
lean
what?
on it. Let me
Yeah,
lean
yeah,
in. Let me
yeah.
lean in.
Lean
All right.
into
So
that.
we most some people don't understand and know about what unforgiveness really is and how to kind of go about it. And the reason why it's so valuable and important for you to actually forgive. The misconception is that I'm supposed to forgive you for what you've done for you. No,
Mhm, mhm,
no.
mhm,
I'm forgiving you for what you've done or how I feel that you wronged me or whatever the case may be for me.
mhm,
It's because I've taken those actions, or rather, those actions have pretty much taken control of me.
mhm,
Everything that I do, my thought process.
mhm.
And here's the kicker: I'm holding on to unforgiveness, and you haven't even thought about me.
Going on.
You're living your life, living your best life. And I'm a second thought. I'm not even a second thought for you. I'm
Mhm,
no thought at all. But
mhm,
here I am, I'm
mhm,
stewing and sitting in something that I continue to give breath and life in my life
mhm,
when all I have to do is release
mhm,
it.
mhm,
But this is where our ego and our pride and our feelings
mhm,
get us in trouble.
mhm,
You should never make a life altering, life changing choice and decision based on your emotions.
mhm,
Never. That's
mhm.
the one inconsistent thing that you're going to always have in your life. Why? Because your emotions are always changing. My
They fit.
emotions have changed several times from the time I woke up at before 5 o'clock this morning, knowing I had to be on this call with you for six, all the way up to this very moment right now. So if I base life altering, life changing choice decisions based on my emotions,
Mhm,
I'm doing fade straight from the door. Well, unforgiveness is rooted in your emotions.
mhm,
It's because you made me feel this way
mhm.
because you did that to me. How about we kind of flip that a little bit and let's
Okay.
take a little ownership of it, whatever. I allowed you to do that.
Mhm,
And I'm the one that's at fault because I'm still holding on to it.
mhm.
Why
Some people
not?
they don't know how to, they may not know how to work through that unforgiveness, like bitter in their heart and heart. They may not
Bitterness.
even know how
Exactly.
to
Now,
actually work through
this
it.
is where we have to shift a little bit because now we got to bring in your faith.
Mhm,
A lot of things you're not going to be able to do on your own.
mhm,
You're going to have to seek some assistance with that.
mhm, mhm,
That's why that word says that take up my yoke because my burden is light.
mhm,
So now we got to start transitioning and start moving in, not from an emotional, not
mhm,
from a physical,
mhm,
but from that spiritual side now.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, that's good. That's some additional work that is required when we're addressing mental health. We cannot dismiss, minimize the impact of our spiritual health in those regards.
And you know
Yeah.
us, we're faith based.
A
So
Bible
you gonna
organization.
get it.
Yes,
It's
yes,
gonna it's gonna come. If you come to DTS, you gonna get that component straight from the door and everything.
yes.
Because you can't be a complete solid you without
Hmm.
him.
Hmm.
It's virtually impossible. So in order for you to become the greatest version of yourself, or 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 moving in a capacity to where you're really maximizing your real potential,
Hmm.
you got to step into your faith.
Hmm.
It's essential. And I don't care what your faith is. I mean, if you
Hmm.
believe in a rock, you better believe in that rock and everything that's up in you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But
Yeah,
if you think that this is something that you can do by yourself, you're sadly mistaken. Because if you could do it by yourself, we wouldn't be holding this conversation right now.
that's right. That's right. That's right. Yeah, I just want to kind of really tap into that unforgiveness piece.
Hmm.
Let me ask you this as we, shift just a little bit. I, it can be difficult, um, to express. How can men even learn how to identify what they're feeling when they've spent years basically ignoring their emotions? Like, how do they even begin to identify what they feel and then get comfortable or get to a place where they can verbalize that when they really have been suppressing and denying and just ignoring their feelings for years? Because dude, man up, what are we talking about,
Yeah.
so
I, I,
yeah.
I think as pertains to that particular question, I think that can be answered more in the actual session.
Okay. Okay.
All
Okay.
right. And what I mean by that is that in order to get somebody comfortable, you got to first get them to just start talking.
Hmm.
Provide an environment that's conducive to them finding their happiness.
Hmm.
I've been doing this a long time, so I got a pretty good, knack of knowing when to kind of interject or when to start digging and things of that nature. It's not uncommon for me to have a client in, I don't know, first 2 weeks or the first 2 to 4 weeks. We not even talk about what it is that you actually came there for.
Hmm.
But I
Hmm.
need to get you at a point to where you're comfortable and the level of trust that you have with me has begun to
Hmm.
be established in order for me to start pulling that out of you. So finding a comfort zone is what I need you to do. Now, and that's kind of sounds kind of contradictory to a lot of things that you got in there because complacency is poison to prosperity. We all know that.
Hmm.
And but I have to get you to a point to where you're extremely comfortable with me to get you to at least start talking at least a little bit about what you got going on.
Hmm.
Um, Now the work that has to be done outside of the therapeutic setting, that's where you have to really get it in your head. And again, I go back to the 4 A's: being able to not accept, appreciate, and adapt what it is that's transpiring and going on with you.
Hmm.
And the question, there are two questions that have to be asked. All right. If what you got going on is bothering you so bad and you really want change for the better for yourself, now this is where gut check time comes in. All right.
Okay.
Regardless of what's transpiring, regardless of what's going on in your life, it's something that you say you want to either manifest, happen, change. I don't care if it's your marriage, work, or parenthood. I don't care what it is. Two questions: how bad do I want this?
Hmm.
And what am I willing to do and sacrifice in order to make it happen? That's gut
Hmm.
check time.
Hmm.
Now, as a clinician, and you've been in my clinic, you'll know I am notorious for that. Because I'm gonna ask you, why are you here?
Hmm. Hmm.
And you know how I am, I'm very verbal, and I will tell you because I did not ask you to come here.
Yeah. 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 There's some
You
work to
picked up
be
the
done.
phone. You
Yeah.
pick, so I'm gonna force accountability straight from the door. You
Yeah.
picked up the phone, or somebody picked up the phone for you, one of the two, and scheduled this appointment.
Hmm.
So the mere fact that you took those steps lets
Hmm.
me know that whatever you got going on is very important for you, and that you really want change for the better for yourself because of said situation and everything.
Hmm.
And so if you've taken those steps of calling, scheduling an appointment, it lets me know that you're motivated.
Hmm.
So tell me why did you pick up the phone?
Hmm.
Why did you schedule this appointment? What's been actually going on?
Hmm.
Now, I'm not so naive that as soon as you come to my office, you're just gonna give me everything or whatever like that. No.
Right.
But I
Right.
do understand that you have to have a starting point. And
Yeah.
if you just give me the bare minimum, I promise you I can work with you enough to get you to the point to where you give me everything it is that you got going on.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so we have transparency,
Okay.
but then we also have how bad do you want it?
Hmm.
And that's truly an accountability component.
Mm-mm. You got to work in therapy, huh?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's not,
Yeah.
and this is not the clients got to work too. Therapists got to work too.
Oh, everybody got to work in
Yeah,
here.
everybody got to
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
I have to make sure that everything that we have going on in that office is conducive to you being able to find your happiness. Because I don't want no excuses as to why you're not working towards what you said is the
Hmm.
issue and problem in your life. Not what I said, but what
Hmm.
you said is the issue and problem in your life.
Hmm. Yeah, that's important because sometimes we'll be like, "Oh, so and so need help," but the individual, and we're speaking specifically to our amazing men, today, and
Hmm.
I want my amazing men out here in these responsibility streets to know that there is a safe space for you without judgment. There is a safe space where you really get to pull up and man up looks like you sitting down and
Every
have.
man walking this planet is hurting
Hmm.
emotionally in some form or fashion.
Hmm.
I don't care. I don't care who they are or what they say.
Hmm.
Every man, and not just every man, every person is
Right.
dealing with something in their life that either they won't let go of
Hmm.
or they refuse to talk to somebody about.
Hmm.
Everybody.
Mhm.
And I've got to the point right now to where I'm so transparent. Now I have accountability partners, so the therapist has a therapist, you know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Like
Yeah.
I have several men in my life that who I hold at high regard and are very close friends of mine, and I love them dearly. You know, one of them. That if there's anything that I need,
Mhm.
I pick up that phone and say, "Hey man, I need a sec." And if I
Mhm.
can't get it right then, it's always give me 5 minutes. I'm gonna call you back, and within 4 minutes, I'm getting a phone call back and everything because they know if I'm calling, I say something like that, it's got to be heavy for me, and
Yeah.
I need somebody I can talk to and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a plug right there as we transition, but I want to say to every man, if you don't have someone, what Anthony just said, he has accountability system. Like it's almost like a board of directors for your life. Like
Facts.
we want to, I believe that we are the CEOs of our life. We are the CEOs of our health. That is my thought. And so, and what Anthony just described is like having a board of directors for your well-being. So he has men in his life that he can pick up the phone and have a conversation with. That's my invitation. That is the conversation. You may not have a board of directors of six, you may have a board of directors of one right now, but who do you have in your life that, like four flat tires without a spare, they are down. They're
Yep.
available to you 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. Because all things don't happen between 8 and 5, right?
Exactly.
Or before 7 o'clock when MEA closes. Like who's available for you after 8 o'clock, right? And so being able to have a board of directors is my invitation to you as you're trying to figure out how do I navigate this space, So
Yeah.
what looks like, and if I could just help my beautiful sisters out here, when men are at these gatherings, and it's just my observation, I'm not a man, when they're at the gatherings, either playing pool, watching a game, playing video games, there is a lot of therapeutics going on. So there is a lot of life happenings going on in their space. We ain't even talk about the barbershop, but there's a lot
I was just going to say that. I was just, you
there's
read my
a lot of
mind, girl.
therapeutics. So, having that space to understand that just because a dude is on a video game or what that is a connection. And so we all connect differently.
Yeah.
And I wanted to just make sure because you have a board of directors. My invitation and conversation is to men and women, create a board of directors for your well-being, people who can provide and serve in different roles, because what we do know is one person will not, as as amazing as amazing as my spouse is, he does not feel every role in my life.
There you go.
He cannot. I'm not going to put that responsibility on him anyway, right? That's unfair. That
Hmm.
is unfair. And oftentimes, we do that to our partners, our spouses, our the men in our life, our brothers, the person that we go to. We put so much pressure on them to be all things. They can't be all things. They cannot. So release the men in your life from being all things all the time. That's not okay.
Let me kind of piggyback on that just for a second too, and I want to tie that over into the different perspectives of how we should actually view ourselves. All right, there's an interpersonal perspective and there's an intrapersonal perspective. The intrapersonal, INTRA personal, that's only two dichotomies in it. That's me and God. All right.
Okay.
The inter, which is so the intra is your internal, right?
Mhm.
The inter, INTER,
Mhm.
that's your external. All right.
Okay.
For everybody, but since we talk about men, I'm just gonna say for men,
Mhm.
that indicates the roles and responsibilities that we actually have. So for me, I'm a therapist, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a fraternity brother, I'm a son, I'm a brother, and so let's just say for happens for sake, I have 8 different roles. Okay.
Okay.
And let's use the example of a cup. All right. So I've got 8 cups that I gotta fill. How is that virtually possible for me if I'm a 40-ounce pitcher?
Ooh.
One of a couple things is gonna have to happen. I could say, man, forget all y'all. I'm gonna focus on me. Well, we know that's not me because I have this thing called responsibility, right?
Mhm.
Or I could fill up as many cups as I possibly can, but then I'm gonna end up leaving some people hanging, including myself.
Mhm.
Or I can give everybody at least a little bit of something,
Mhm.
instead of at least have a little bit for me, but I'm still not fulfilling my obligations and everything.
Mhm.
This is where we have to leave the interpersonal and go to the intrapersonal for a little bit. And let me focus on me, and let me focus on God, and let me learn to be the greatest version of myself so that not just I benefit, but for these people over here that I'm responsible for as well too. And so once I've kind of increased my capacity, once I built myself up, once I've made myself strong and everything, now when I go back over here to this perspective, which is the inter, not
Mhm.
only do I have enough to take care of those 64 ounces that I'm responsible over here, but guess what? I got about 40 more left over because I jumped from being a 40-ounce pitcher to 104.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
said all that to say this. Men, take time out for yourself.
Clock that, brother. Take time out for yourself. I'm with that.
If you haven't gone fishing in a while, take your day off and go fishing. If
Anthony,
you haven't went and shot pool for a little bit, take some time out and go shoot pool or go bowling.
come
If you
on
got
now.
a partner of yours that you have not seen in some time and y'all just talk on the phone, make you a time where you say, hey, bro, let's go get some wings and have a couple beers together. We need to sit down and chop it up or whatever like that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Love yourself enough to give yourself the opportunity to succeed in life. Be
Mhm.
patient with yourself, but
Mhm.
love yourself enough to take care of yourself so that you have the capacity and ability to take care of everybody else.
What if they don't even know what love is in this framework, right? Like
Mhm.
because of how they were reared, how they were raised, I don't even know what love is. So how can I one love myself or two be able to have a thought about loving somebody else to love myself well?
It
Because
starts
I
with the
can't
simple
skirt over
thing. So in order for me to love myself, I gotta love something about myself. I gotta like something about myself. So I ask the question, what do you like?
that. Okay.
All right. And then I say, how frequently do you do that?
Mhm.
I don't do it enough. Start doing more of that. You gotta have a foundation you gotta build from. And then the more and more gratification I obtain from that, then now I've identified one particular thing about myself that I have either forgotten or that I never realized.
Mhm.
That's the starting point right there. The nucleus of this entire thing is you.
Mhm.
That's it. Multitude of responsibilities, whether it's work, family, organizations. Well, I don't care what your life kind of looks like.
Mhm.
You are the common denominator. So, in
Mhm.
order for you to truly maximize your potential as being a husband, a father, a brother, an uncle, if you're older, a grandfather, like me, a business owner, and the list kind of goes on and on and on,
Yeah.
you got to start taking care of you
Yeah.
mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually.
So tell me one of your favorite things to do that you can invite other men to do. Like what's one of your favorite, I'm gonna say, mental health relievers or one of your stress relievers or something that you do because this is my me time. What's something an ant does?
And as crazy as it may sound for a lot of
Other than
people, because
collecting shoes.
it's still considered work. Uh, I love doing home improvement projects. Like getting out of my yard is therapy for me.
Mhm.
I started this side business doing epoxy countertops and everything like that. So epoxy and being able to be creative to where I literally don't have to think. I
Mhm.
just do. And as the thoughts kind of come to my head, and when I sit back and I look at a job that I just finished and everything, it's like, boom, boy, you did that. It boosts my self-esteem about myself and everything. So things like that, I just took, as far as the epoxy stuff, I was able to take what I viewed as a passion and turn it into residual income for myself, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I get joy and gratification out of it. To be able to go outside and I'm pretty much a handy dude, so I build stuff and everything like that too. For example, when I built my outdoor kitchen, I built that by myself. I had my partner Darren come over and help me lift some boards, but other than that,
That thing nice.
yeah, and did all the work and everything, And
Yeah.
and, and so that's the thing that kind of helps me identify who I am as an individual, my
Mhm.
confidence I have in myself, my self-esteem, my self-love that I have for myself and everything, you know.
Mhm.
And so that's what I encourage these dudes to do. Whatever it is that you do that's good, man, that brings you joy and gratification, as long as it don't bring any hurt, harm, or danger to you or nobody else, go for it. What you got to lose?
Mhm. Mhm. That
Just go for
one
it.
thing, yeah, that one thing that you put on the
And that's
shelf.
That's all it takes is just that one thing. But most of the time, we don't even do that one thing
Mhm,
because we make the responsibilities the priority.
mhm,
I say different. Make yourself the priority so that you can take care of the responsibilities.
mhm,
Because if you don't, then what you do, you shortchange these people over here.
mhm,
My wife and my daughters get a partial or get a part of me if I
mhm,
don't take care of me and make myself a priority.
mhm,
But because I centralize and prioritize myself, and I'm locked in and focused mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, now they get the father, they get the
mhm,
husband, they get the spiritual leader of the house, the priest of the household. They
mhm.
get that person because that's the person that they need.
Right, right. We're having a conversation today on Figured Out Friday. June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. And we have a special guest in the studio for those who are pulling up over here on LinkedIn and YouTube. There are comments going on over here. Excuse me. This is Anthony Davis of Davis Therapeutics out of Flowood, Mississippi. Men, women, and children, you do not have to navigate life alone. That's what this conversation is about today, is supporting our men in regards to normalizing support, normalizing, creating conditions where men feel safe, heard, loved. They can be vulnerable, they can be transparent without judgment. I'm going to shift just a little bit, Anthony. I want to ask you, how does, and I know you see it in the clinic, how does chronic stress affects men's physical health, relationships, and their decision making capacity?
Very good question. Well, as I indicated earlier, one of the number one diagnoses is work life stressors.
Okay.
Um, and because we allow things to build up on us and it build up on us and everything, it clouds our judgment a
Mhm,
lot of times. And because that judgment is clouded, we don't make the right choice and decision, not only for ourselves, but even for those within the context of our family and everything as well, too. That brings about disagreements, arguments, so forth and so forth. And now, what what has been pretty much blown out of proportion could have been handled entirely differently and a whole lot easier had number one, I've been open and honest with myself about what it is I'm actually dealing with,
mhm,
and be willing to say I need some help.
mhm,
And I think as men, we don't say that enough. We wear our roles and responsibilities. We really wear those on our sleeves, just like our emotions.
mhm.
And they can kind of, really get the best of us because we're always locked in and focused on those things. And,
Yeah.
and we don't take time out to say, you know what, bro? Sometimes you need to just kind of sit back. Sometimes you need to say, raise your hand, say, can I get some help over here?
Mhm.
I'm a blessed man because not only do I have an awesome wife and a beautiful wife, yeah, I
And
won't include
do.
that. Yeah, Stephanie Davis is my ex goon coon. My wife is my best friend. I tell anybody that. But the fact that my wife is a clinician as well,
Mhm,
it gives me the confidence of knowing that not only will she tell me what it is that I need to hear
mhm,
uh, as a clinician, but she's also going to make sure that I hear what I need to hear because she loves me and cares about me as well too. So,
mhm,
gentlemen, those that are listening, and ladies that are paying attention right now as well too, understand and know that your spouse is not your headache.
mm,
Your spouse is your pain reliever. It's a reason why the queen is one of the most dominant pieces on the chessboard
mm,
because she's able to move in directions and do certain things that the king can't do.
mhm,
That's the reason why she's your helpmate.
mm,
Ladies, understand and know your role in your husband's life. It's more than just for reproduction of your children. It's more
mm,
than just for paying bills.
mhm.
He's not your peace, or rather, you're not his peace, but you help him find his peace.
Come on now.
And that's the reason why you have so many discords as it pertains to relationship. And because we're talking about stress and everything, and that's a key component as the reason why you have a lot of relationships failing and everything. It's because I go back to my T word, lack of transparency.
Mhm, mhm,
And
mhm,
being able to openly and honestly talk about what you actually have going on. I believe in my heart that there ain't not one topic I can't take to Shamika.
mhm,
Not one. And what she's gonna tell me, And you know my wife, it ain't gonna be what I want to hear.
And I okay, because she's very look, she got me. That's a conversation for another day. But
Yeah,
yeah,
she's gonna tell
yeah,
me exactly
yeah,
what it is that I need to hear because
yeah,
she wants her husband to be great.
yeah,
He knows that if I'm great, then we gonna be great.
yeah,
I feel the exact same way about her and everything. So
yeah.
again, I say, ladies, understand and know your role in your husband's life. Don't be his piece because you can't be that. Or
Right.
be that helpmate that he needs in order to help him find his peace. That means be that comfort piece for him to where he can feel transparent and feel comfortable where he can actually sit down and talk with you. I do marital counseling, and that's one thing that I hear from the couples because not only do I talk to them together, but I
Mhm.
also take time before each session and I talk with them individually to get their own personal opinion. And man, I cannot tell you how many times out of 10 the dudes say, I just feel that I really cannot trust her and I can't talk to her.
Wow.
And I'm like, wow, man, that's saying a lot for somebody that you took a covenant with.
Yeah, you in the household and can't even talk to somebody that you're in the household with.
Exactly.
That's stressful in and of itself.
That's my point.
You gonna blow a gasket like in your
That's my
heart.
point.
Like you
That's
can
my
get have
point.
a heart attack. Do you?
So imagine me being in a household where I got this amount of frustration going on me because of my multitude of responsibilities and the one person that God has given me to
Uh-huh.
actually help me deal with this stuff, I feel that I can't go to him. And that
Wow.
and that's on both sides of the table. I ain't just talking about women for men. I'm talking about men
Right.
for women is and everything as well too. That's on both sides of the table.
Let me ask you this because we're gonna lean into that a little bit. Um, what role does vulnerability play in healthy marriages, friendships, and you mentioned your daughter and fatherhood?
For me, it's extremely important. Um, as the head of my household, I kind of set the tone for what goes on. And so if there's a level of hardness that I have or that I display, I'm gonna get that right back. And that
Mm,
even goes from my 22-year old. Yes, I do have a 5-year old and a 1-year old as well, two people. All right. Uh, but that goes from my 22-year old to my 5-year old to my 1-year old and everything. I have to allow that level of vulnerability for the sake of establishing safety in my household.
okay.
It makes the people in your household know that this is a safe place, it's a safe environment to where I can talk about what I need to talk about, and it's not going to be held on my head. I'm not going to be judged for it. It allows me to really and truly be transparent and open up and talk about those inner things that I've been hiding away for quite some time and everything. Vulnerability, especially from a male perspective, more so dealing with your daughters, and I'm speaking from my personal opinion because I don't have sons
Okay.
dealing with my daughters softens my heart to where they want to come and talk to father. I'm more than just a protector for them and everything. They already know I'm standing 10 toes down for them either way it goes. They know how their dad is and everything. But I also have an open door policy where it invites them to be transparent with me and talk about anything and everything that's been going on. Now I have to be open and honest with you guys today. I hadn't always been like this.
Hmm.
I've been previously married and I was not a good husband. I
Hmm.
learned a lot from my first relationship and everything. And my oldest daughter, she saw that version of me. It
Hmm.
took her a while to understand and realize that this dude ain't the same father that he actually used to be. And to say that we have a beautiful relationship right now is an understatement.
Wow.
I speak with this child multiple times a week, sometimes several times a day as well too. And
Hmm.
the level of transparency that she actually has with me, I couldn't be happier with it. And she trusts her father. I think
Hmm.
that's the big thing.
Hmm.
She's told me things that she's never even told her mother.
Hmm.
You know, and to that degree, she's told her stepmother stuff that she's never told her father.
Hmm.
And so when you provide that type of environment that and that comfort for your kids, then now you don't have to worry about them sneaking out and doing this and doing that because you providing an environment that's convenient for them finding their happiness and everything. They know I can go talk to my dad and he's not going to be, he's not going to get riled up or whatever like that. Or especially if they make a mistake and
Yeah.
they've done something bad,
Yeah.
there's no reluctancy about them coming and talking to you about what they did because they're scared of consequences and things of that nature, whatever like that. You know?
Yeah. 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 And so what I heard you say was by your own example, you created an emotionally safe environment.
Exactly.
a psychological safe environment, so that here I am, I'm putting, I'm expressing my emotions, and that's okay.
Hmm.
Walls are always built, and the young adults, children, people never see anything, because I don't know where they get this idea that you hide everything from children, because that's not life anyway. That's a conversation for another day. But if
Hmm.
they don't see it, they don't even know how to deal with it and know how to navigate life. So
Facts.
what I heard you share was really creating an environment in your home, that is emotionally safe, so that people in your household and people that interact with you feel safe enough to say whatever it is they need to say, and know that mama, daddy, TT, whoever,
Hmm.
not gonna judge me. This is a good space for me. This is a good
Like
space.
for me, marriage and fatherhood is diabolical for me. I
Mm-hmm,
love it
mm-hmm,
because it allows me the opportunity, believe it or not, to manipulate exactly what transpires and goes on in my household. I just make sure that I remain humble and I make sure that I do it the way God told me to do it and everything. But I find I got peace in my house.
mm-hmm,
I do.
mm-hmm,
I can talk to my wife,
mm-hmm.
no issues and problems. That's not to say we don't have our issues and problems like everybody else does, whatever like
Right,
that.
right.
But we do not allow situations to get to the point to where we're not like don't want to be with each other, whatever like that.
Mm-hmm,
That's crazy. That to me, that's asinine. That doesn't make any sense. You know.
mm-hmm,
And I've learned to really look at my situation for what it's worth, and I love my situation for what it's worth. That's
mm-hmm.
how I operate and everything.
Mm-mm. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. I'm going to ask you this. When we're thinking about my brothers, my fellas, and I've heard guys say this, that they don't feel seen, heard, and they don't feel appreciated. What happens when they don't feel seen, heard, and appreciated?
We shut
What's
down
the.
completely,
Mm-hmm,
and you just use the word wall.
mm-hmm,
We put up several of those,
mm-hmm,
and the likelihood of you getting anything out of us at that point in time, right there, is slim and none. It's one of the most unhealthy things that can actually happen to us. Is because we have the label that we don't talk or that we're not transparent, that we don't talk open up or whatever like that. And then when we actually do it and it's not acknowledged or recognized, then what we've done is we throw this thing instead of going to drive, we just throw it back in reverse.
mm-hmm,
And so you
mm-hmm,
know what? Instead of me pulling it out of the garage, let's just
mm-hmm,
go ahead and close the garage door down and be through with this thing.
mm-hmm. So, how can we help be better supporters in that area?
I can that can be handled in one question.
Okay.
All right. It's probably been about 2 years now. I was here at the house, and I think I was at the kitchen. I don't know if I was just standing at the sink or if I was washing dishes. But Shamika walked up behind me and she grabbed me, hugged me from behind. I turned around, and I kissed her, and she grabbed my hand and she asked me this question. She said, "What can I do for you to make us better?" I still ain't been able to answer that question.
Mm-hmm.
You know the reason why? Because for the first time, it I was 50, in my 50 years of living, I finally realized I was with a woman that was more concerned about me than she was about herself.
Mm-hmm.
That had to be one of the most selfless questions, as simple as it was, that I have ever been asked.
Mm-hmm.
And it let me know that to her, I am a priority.
Mm-hmm.
To her, she's concerned about my well being. To her,
Mm-hmm.
she wants to provide that space and that place for me to be able to find my happiness and everything. So I think from that standpoint, we can do things like that. And
Mm-hmm.
this again, it goes both ways. Not just the wives asking the husbands. I know we're talking about men today, but it goes both ways. Men, you got to ask your wives the same question. And you know what? I use that question in therapy. I took her stuff. Yeah, I use her stuff in therapy. And so when I do couples therapy before we end the session and everything, I have a couple stand up, face each other, hold hands, look at each other, and each person asks each other that question. Because when you leave that session, I don't want you saying that you did not know.
Mm-hmm.
Accountability. I
Mm-hmm.
put it on your shoulder straight from the door.
Mm-hmm.
What you do with it ain't left up to me no more as your therapist. It's left up to you as the individual.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Now,
I Go ahead. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. No, no, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
And I think if we are more direct with the people that we say we love, and they truly understand that we're coming at them as boldly as we actually are because we do love them and we do care about them, I
Mhm.
think that itself will also spark a change within us as individuals. Today we're talking about men or whatever like that. That this is a place, or rather, this is a person that I honestly can and do trust.
Mhm. I'm gonna pivot just a little bit
Go ahead.
because I interact with a lot of guys who are single. Some are even raising children by themselves,
Mm,
no help from the female contributor. So men who are out here doing life, and life is lifing, and are feeling disconnected, unheard, unloved, and appreciated. Who don't have a spouse, who don't have a partner, they just out here. Can give a few words to help those guys also.
fellas, if you out here by yourself, you're not out here by yourself because you got God.
Mhm.
Uh, and now I'll kind of shift and speak from personal experience before my
Yeah.
wife. After my divorce, my first marriage, I was by myself for about
Mhm.
a year, and it was probably the most difficult thing that I've ever done in my life because I was a single father. Yeah, we split custody of my 22-year-old daughter and everything. But I was really by myself,
Mhm.
and I found comfort and peace in God. I literally immersed myself in God, and it gave me the comfort and peace of number one, knowing that I was not by myself because I had him. But because I started trusting God and I started having faith in God and everything like that, he actually brought people into my life that actually kind of helped stimulate that comfort that I really needed from a physical standpoint,
Okay.
you know? And so I think this is where you have to be as single men, you have to be very, very careful of the company that you actually keep.
Mhm.
And you have to make sure that you're doing things that are setting yourself up for success and not for failure. So one thing that I started doing was I stopped hanging around so many single dudes.
Mhm.
I started hanging more around married men because that's what I actually wanted.
Okay.
And I started seeing, but not just any married man. I faith-based,
Right.
God-fearing married men that had what it was I want. I like to use the example of like Jay Z. Jay Z didn't become a billionaire by continuing to hang out with Dame Dash. He started hanging out with Warren Buffett. So you got to be careful of the company that you keep and everything. If you surround yourself by the type of people or within the environment that you say that you want to actually remain in, then you'll get the results that you really want to get in everything. And for me, that's what I had to essentially do. It was my faith that kind of kept me, afloat. We just use the word afloat and everything.
Yeah.
And it was me being intentional about the things that I was doing, the things that I was saying. I had to really take ownership of my life and everything. But probably the most difficult thing I had to do, Regina, was look in the mirror.
Mhm.
And I had to ask myself this question: Anthony, what are you doing right now that's adding to the delinquency that you have going on in your life? That deal with me.
Mhm.
And for a lot of people, that's a hard conversation to have. In one of the rooms in the clinic, we got that mirror. It says, look at the person responsible for your feelings, your thoughts, your success, your failures, the whole. It's accountability. That's what it's all about and everything. And so before I can point a finger at saying, okay, life ain't going good the way I want to go because of this, because of that, whatever like that, I got to ask myself the question first: what have you done?
Mhm.
Or rather, what are you not doing?
Mhm. 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 You mentioned a key statement. First of all, if you're feeling alone, isolated, or unseen, unheard, and unvalued, what is your relationship with your
With your faith.
being, with your
Yeah.
faith?
Yeah.
And then you mentioned that it opened opportunities and people were then in your life. And what I heard you say was, I no longer want to be single. So I started positioning myself. And what I heard in my spirit was proximity model. Put myself in proximity to the life that I want to live. So if you want something different, then always searching for that something different and extending that, you know, making those initial connections, saying and reaching
Exactly.
out, like reaching
Exactly.
out. Let me ask you this: what advice would you give a man who feel like right now I'm just failing in life?
Have a
I
conversation.
just can't get it right. It's just not coming together. You know, if it ain't one thing, it's another. I'm just at this place, and I really just don't know.
Have a conversation with God and find you a good therapist.
Okay.
Because when you reach that point, then you really don't have nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
So now
Yeah.
you got to start looking outside of yourself for help. Because keep in mind, if it's within your power to actually do it, you would already done it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a firm believer that you know you can't do life by yourself. The word itself says two is better than one.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't just talking about marriage,
Right.
relationship. You got to make sure that you're connecting with people, or rather, you're connecting with the right people.
Mm-hmm.
Relationship is the foundation of our mere existence.
Mm-hmm.
Your parents and my parents had to have a relationship in order for us to be here
Mm-hmm.
in some form of fashion.
Mm-hmm.
So, in order to prosper, grow, evolve, and be the greatest version of yourself, or for anything to manifest and happen in your life, you have to have a good relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, you get more clarity and more understanding about direction. So, whether it's finding that good accountability partner, um, whether it's going finding you a good therapist,
Mm-hmm.
or whether it's sitting down and talking with your pastor about what you got going on, the relationship with God, the relationship with the right people is what you got to start doing in order for things to start happening in your life. And you
I'm
got
a,
to trust yourself.
and you
I
got to
got,
do
I
what?
got, I got to say that part. You got to trust yourself, man. You can't be your own best friend and your own worst enemy in this process. You just can't.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot. You cannot. And especially as a dude, a lot of times, man, we feel we all we got because sometimes that's all we got. And if
Mm-hmm.
I can't trust me, where else I'm gonna go?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, though that time I had in my life when it was just me, yeah, I was lonely by myself, but I knew I had me. That's the reason why I kept going.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had me, that's the reason why I was seeking people out that had what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had me, that's the reason why I wasn't so proud and so prideful that I couldn't sit down and talk to somebody, whatever like that. When I was at church and I was intentionally going to the men's group because I wanted to connect with people of the same like mindset and everything. Because I trusted me. If I didn't have nothing else, I knew I had me.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you feel that you can't trust nobody else, if you feel that you don't have nobody else, at least you got you and you got God.
Mm-hmm. It's more in you than you give yourself credit for, bruh.
That's it. That's
It's
it.
more in you than you give yourself credit for. We're talking to Anthony Davis of Davis Therapeutics, located in Flowood, Mississippi. You mentioned something very, very pivotal, and I'm gonna say a point on that. If we're making a connection, he made a connection with spirituality, your faith. Um, and I want to say this before I ask Anthony the next question. I want to say this: if your pastor is not a licensed ordained therapist, and you got stuff going on, he can only take you so far. Make the connection. So if your pastor is not a licensed therapist, he can only take you so far. Um, Therapy, a counselor, it's okay to have a conversation. Pray and right. And so I just wanted to make sure I put that in there because I know one, we're in the Bible, but we're gonna pray ourselves under the pew, right? However,
Hmm.
in addition to prayer, like in addition to prayer, there is fasting, but in addition to prayer, having a good therapist, someone outside of that spiritual realm, because some people don't even know how to pray, but I can go talk to somebody, right?
Hmm.
How does faith support men's mental health?
It's funny that you asked that question because and this paper I had just grabbed about 3 weekends ago. I actually went and did a talk with a men's group at a church over in Pearl, and my topic was biblical principles of men getting mental health treatment. So just to give you a few of these principles, and these right here should pretty much answer your question. All right.
Okay. Okay.
Number one, God cares about the whole person.
Mhm.
Scripture shows that God is concerned with emotional, mental, spiritual, and physical well being. I pray that you may enjoy good health and that all may go well with you, even as your soul is getting along well. That's 3 John 1 and 2. Men in the Bible experience grief, fear, stress, discouragement, loneliness, and emotional exhaustion. God did not shame them for these struggles. Instead, he met them with compassion, guidance, rest, and support. For example, Elijah experienced despair and emotional exhaustion. That's 1 Kings 19. David openly expressed anxiety, fear, grief, and depression like emotions through Psalms. Job struggled deeply with loss, suffering, and hopelessness, and
Mm,
Jesus Christ experienced sorrow, anguish, and emotional distress in the Garden of Gethsemane.
mhm,
These examples show that emotional struggle are a part of human experience and not evidence of spiritual failure.
mm.
That's just one component. I'm gonna give you one more.
Okay.
All right. Humility is strength, not weakness.
Mhm,
Some mere some men fear that asking for help makes them feel weak.
mhm,
Scripture teaches the opposite.
mhm,
God opposes the proud, but shows favor to the humble. That's
mhm,
James 4 and 6.
mhm,
Admitting struggle requires courage. Pride often keeps people trapped in suffering, while humility opens the door for healing and growth. A man who seeks treatment may be demonstrating emotional maturity, responsibility, self awareness, desire to change, and stewardship of his life and his relationships.
mhm.
So even God Himself is for mental health treatment.
Amen. Amen. Third John 1 and 2. I pray that you will prosper and be in good health, even as your soul shall
So,
prosper. Whole health. Anthony, before we get out of here, I just got to ask you, if a man is listening today could hear one message from you, what would it be?
make yourself a priority. Love yourself from a holistic standpoint, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. Take time out for yourself and find the pleasures and joys in life that you really do enjoy, and do those things as long as they bring the harm to you or nobody else.
Mhm.
Love yourself enough to give yourself the opportunity to succeed.
We have been having a conversation today with Anthony Davis of Davis Therapeutics. What's one thing men can do this weekend, because we got the weekend, to
Mhm.
improve their mental health?
Get you a pen and a sheet of paper
Okay.
and write.
Okay.
Don't cost you nothing. You ain't got to see nobody. You ain't got to talk to nobody. And write down whatever is going on
Mhm,
between those two ears of yours. How in depth it is or how shallow it is. How positive it is or how negative it is. How good it is or how bad it is. Write it down and get it out.
mhm,
And understand and know that there is nothing in you that you can't defeat.
mhm,
Just like there's nothing outside of you that you can't conquer.
mhm. You heard it from Anthony Davis. There is nothing in you that you can't defeat. We're honoring men. This is June, Men's Mental Health Month, Awareness Month. I am having the pleasure of have had this conversation with Anthony Davis of Davis Therapeutics. Anthony, it has been my absolute pleasure to have one of my mentors, a good friend in this space to share from a male's perspective. Those are some of the comments that are coming in over here on YouTube and on LinkedIn. This is very helpful. I need to share this with my husband. I'm glad I'm here. This conversation is very helpful and insightful, getting to know a male therapist's point of view. So we have some comments over there on YouTube as well as on LinkedIn. Tell the people how they can stay in touch with Anthony Davis if they want to know more about who you are and what you do, your primary and your hobby, which really ain't a hobby.
Well, again, I'm Anthony Davis. I'm one of the co-owners and CEO of Davis Therapeutic Services. We are a private practice, faith-based mental health clinic based in Flowood, Mississippi. The address is 517 Keywood Circle, Suite 2B. That's Flowood, Mississippi, 39232. The phone number to the office is 601-559-1880. Again, 601-559-1880. To find out more about the clinic and what we do, you can actually go online into our website at www.dtsembracingchange.com. That's DTAS as well as you can send us an email at DTS Embracing Change. I'm sorry, DTS Mind Body Soul at gmail.com. As far as my hobby that I've turned to a business, I actually do create epoxy countertops. I do does just a plethora of different things. But you can actually find that page on Facebook at daviseclecticdesigns.com. That's daviseclecticdesigns.com.
Anthony has turned a hobby into a actual, like the work that he does, and I'm just going to share this, the work that he does with the epoxy. So if you're remodeling your house or you have a table, or he does some beautiful work. And so why I'm sharing this is because, men, if you have a hobby that, again, that you put on the back burner because you're working 472 12 hours, and you're maxed out and you're stressed out, pick that hobby back up that you enjoy and find that greatest pleasure. It could be mowing the yard, it could be fishing, it could be, painting, it could be basket weaving, it could be gardening. And so
Anything.
anything, your mental health matters to us. Your mental health matters. Why? Because you matter. Again, thank you, Anthony, for being with me today. I am your girl, Regina Lacking, the plant-based boss of Doing Life Well Integrative Health and Consulting. Boss is becoming a well soul every day. That's our invitation to you. What is that one thing, not 10 things, what is that one thing that you can do to shift your whole health? Thank you, Facebook, for being here. Thank you, Instagram, LinkedIn, as well as YouTube. It has been our absolute pleasure. We're going to have Anthony back later on in the fall, because it goes down in the fall, and we don't want, a lot of time depression hits in the fall too. So we want to have him back because mental health matters every single day. But I wanted to make sure really to just carve out time during the month of June to really have this very unique conversation. So we'll be back to see you all. Thank y'all so much. Hang on just 1 second, Anthony. Everybody, y'all have a beautiful weekend, and make sure you're doing something that is going to support you in recovering the recoverable, because your health is recoverable. Thank you, Facebook. I'm checking y'all out of here. All right. LinkedIn, YouTube, I'm checking y'all out of here.